Clayton Mercer found her on a Tuesday night, half buried in trash bags under the porch light. Small hand reaching through split plastic like she was clawing out of her own grave. He'd been in town settling accounts, came back late. October cold bit through his jacket. The motion sensor light had triggered near the service entrance, but nothing moved now. Just garbage bags split open, spilling refuse across gravel. Then he saw the hand. Small, pale, fingers curled like they'd been reaching for something just out of range. His breath caught. His own hand stopped mid-reach, not again. The girl's eyes opened, dark, animal quick, calculating distance to the tree line. "Don't," he said. Not sure if he meant, "Don't run," or "Don't make me do this." She didn't move. Didn't cry. Just stared at his hands like they were weapons. Snow started falling. First of the season, light as ash. He crouched slow, kept his distance. "You hurt?" "Nothing." "I'm not gonna—" He stopped. Wasn't sure how to finish that sentence. The girl's lips moved, barely audible. "Don't call nobody." Clayton looked at her. 9, maybe 10, too thin, cuts on her hands, jacket 3 sizes too big. Every instinct said, walk away, call the sheriff. This wasn't his problem. But he'd spent 12 years walking away from problems. "All right," he heard himself say. He stood, moved toward the house, didn't look back to see if she'd follow. After a long beat, he heard small footsteps on gravel behind him. She didn't thank him when he pulled her out, didn't cry, just stared at his hands like they were weapons and whispered, "I'll leave in the morning." Inside, the kitchen light was too bright. Fluorescent, institutional, showing everything. The girl stood by the door, ready to bolt. She was smaller standing up, 80 pounds soaking wet, if that. Her jacket hung off her like borrowed skin, holes in both shoes, cuts across her knuckles, fresh and old. Clayton moved slow, kept the table between them. "You can sit?" She didn't. Footsteps on the porch, heavy, familiar. Hector pushed through the door, stopped cold when he saw her. "Boss?" he said carefully. Get the first aid kit." Hector's eyes went from the girl to Clayton, reading something there. "Si, jefe." When he left, the girl shifted her weight toward the exit. "Don't run," Clayton said. Not a command. Almost a question. "Why not?" "Because it's 15 degrees out there and you got no coat." Had worse. And probably true. He could see it in how she held herself. Spine straight, eyes tracking movement, calculating angles. Survivor math. Hector returned with the kit, set it on the table, stepped back. Good instincts. Too many people crowding her would trigger flight. Clayton opened the kit. "You gonna let me clean those hands or not?" "I can do it." "All right." He pushed the kit toward her. "Bathroom's down the hall if you want privacy." She stared at him like it was a trick. "I'll make coffee," he said, and turned his back on her. Biggest risk he could take. Showing her his back. Saying, "I'm not a threat," without saying it. He heard her move, quick and quiet as a cat, into the hallway. Bathroom door closed, locked. Hector exhaled. "Que diablos, Clayton?" "Don't know yet." You call Wade?" "Sheriff Wade, no." "Not yet. Carol Pritchard's gonna have questions." "Carol Pritchard. Social services. Yeah, she would." "Let me think." Hector studied him. 30 years they'd worked together. Hector had been there the night Sarah died, had been there when Emma left, had watched Clayton build walls around this place like a fortress. "She looks about—" "Don't." Hector nodded. Didn't finish that sentence. Water ran in the bathroom. Stayed running. She was probably letting it get hot, something she hadn't had in a while. Or crying where nobody could hear. Or planning her exit. Clayton made coffee. His hands were steady. That surprised him. 10 minutes later, she emerged. Hands bandaged. Crude, but functional. She'd cleaned her face. Under the dirt, she was just a kid. Dark hair, sharp eyes, jaw set like she was ready for the next fight. She stopped in the kitchen doorway, saw the plate he'd set out. Bread, butter, cold chicken from yesterday. Not much, but real. "Wasn't sure what you'd eat," he said. She didn't move toward it. "It's not—" He stopped. Wasn't sure how to say "I don't want anything from you" without making it weird. Hector, leaning against the counter, spoke up. "He's harmless, mija. Mean as hell to work for, but harmless." The girl's eyes flicked to Hector, back to Clayton, deciding. Finally, she moved to the table. Sat on the edge of the chair, positioned so she could see both doors. Took the bread first. Ate it fast, defensive, like someone might take it back. Clayton poured coffee for himself and Hector. Didn't offer her any, too young. And she didn't need the jitters on top of whatever she was already running from. They watched her eat. She didn't slow down until the plate was empty. When she finished, she pushed the plate away, looked at Clayton dead on. "I'll leave in the morning." "Where to?" "Don't matter." "It's gonna snow tonight. Real snow." "I said I'll leave." Hector glanced at Clayton. Clayton said nothing. The girl stood. Where do I sleep? Direct, practical. She wasn't asking, can I stay? She was negotiating terms. Spare room upstairs. Second door on the left. It lock? From the inside. Yeah. She nodded, started for the stairs, stopped. What's your name? She asked. Clayton. That it? Mercer. Clayton Mercer. She absorbed this. Okay. What's yours? Long pause. Joe. Short for something, probably. Josie, Joanna, Jolene. Didn't matter. That's what she was giving him. All right, Joe. There's clothes in the dresser. Might be big, but they're clean. She left without another word. When her footsteps faded upstairs, Hector spoke quietly. You sure about this? No. She runs. That's on you. She stays. That's also on you. I know. Carol's gonna want documentation. Birth certificate. Guardian consent. Medical. As I said, I know. I said. Hector raised his hands. Está bien. Your call, Jefe. He left through the back door. Truck started. Taillights disappearing down the drive. Clayton stood alone in the kitchen. The house settled around him. Same creaks, same silence he'd lived in for 12 years. But different now. He checked the coffee pot, washed the plate, turned off the kitchen light. Then he did what he'd done every night since Sarah died. Checked the locks. Front door, back door, mudroom, side entrance. Tested each one twice. Started after the fire, guilt wearing a safety rituals mask. But tonight, when he reached the upstairs hallway, he paused outside the spare room. No light under the door, no sound. He stood there longer than he meant to, listening for breathing, for movement, for proof she was still there. Not checking to keep her in, checking to make sure she hadn't already left. By the third morning, she'd stopped sleeping on the floor. By the fourth, she'd stopped flinching when he moved too fast. But she still kept her shoes on, always ready to run. She woke before dawn every day. He knew because he did too. First morning, he found her in the kitchen at 5:30, standing by the window, watching the driveway. Still wearing yesterday's clothes, the oversized shirt and jeans he'd left outside her door, rolled at the cuffs. Coffee's on, he said. She jumped. Hadn't heard him come down. Didn't mean to scare you. You didn't. Lie. But he let it sit. He poured himself a cup, leaned against the counter, gave her space. Outside, the sky was shifting from black to gray. First light coming. You always up this early? She asked. Ranch doesn't run itself. What time's breakfast? Whenever you're hungry. She processed this, the lack of schedule, the permission. I can make it myself. All right. She opened the fridge, studied the contents like she was memorizing inventory. Eggs, milk, butter, leftovers wrapped in foil. More food than she'd probably seen in one place in months. You know how to cook? He asked. Some. Stove's temperamental. Front left burner runs hot. She nodded, took out eggs, set them carefully on the counter. Her movements were precise, controlled. Someone had taught her to be careful with other people's things, or she'd learned the hard way. Clayton grabbed his jacket. I'll be in the barn. You need anything? I'm good. He almost smiled at that. I'm good. Her default answer to everything. Hector's truck pulled up at 7, same as always. He found Clayton mucking stalls, which wasn't his job anymore, but he did it anyway. Kept his hands busy. She still here? Hector asked. Yeah. You talked to Wade yet? No. Clayton? I know. He pitched hay harder than necessary. I'll call him. When? Soon. Hector didn't believe him. You give us a desir? Hey, Wade. Found a kid in my trash. Thought I'd keep her. Something like that. Hector shook his head. You're gonna need a better plan, Jefe. Maybe. Probably. But right now, he didn't have one. They worked in silence, feeding horses, checking fence lines, normal morning routine. Except Clayton kept glancing toward the house. Checking for smoke, for movement, for signs of disaster. Old habit, bad habit. Around 9, Hector nodded toward the kitchen window. She's watching us. Clayton looked. Joe stood at the window, half hidden by the curtain. When she saw them looking back, she disappeared. Curious, Hector said. Or planning. Or planning what? How to leave, what to take. Best time to run. Hector studied him. You want her to stay. Not a question. Clayton didn't answer. Wasn't sure himself. Mid-morning, Hector headed up to the house for water. Came back 10 minutes later with a strange look on his face. What? Clayton asked. She made breakfast. For both of us. Clayton stopped. What? Eggs, toast, coffee. Set it out on the table. Didn't say a word, just pointed at the plates. They walked back together. Sure enough, 2 plates sat on the kitchen table. Eggs scrambled, toast buttered, everything still warm. Joe was nowhere in sight. Hector sat, started eating. Not bad. Clayton stood in the doorway. This felt like... He didn't know what it felt like. A negotiation, a test, an offering. He sat, took a bite. The eggs were good, little bit of pepper, cooked through but not dry. Someone had taught her, or she'd learned by watching. You should thank her, Hector said. Don't know where she is. Try upstairs. Clayton climbed the stairs slow, stood outside her door. It was open now, first time since she'd arrived. She sat on the bed, drawing something on the back of an envelope she must have found somewhere. He knocked on the doorframe. She looked up, guarded. Yeah? Breakfast was good. Okay. You didn't have to do that. I know. She went back to drawing. He should leave. Let her be. But he found himself asking, "What are you drawing?" She hesitated, then turned the envelope so he could see. A horse. Simple lines, but recognizable. Good proportions. You like horses? He asked. Never been close to one? You want to? She looked at him like it was a trap. Maybe. Hector's working with them this afternoon. You can watch, if you want. I'll think about it. Fair enough. He turned to go, stopped. Joe? Yeah? You don't gotta earn your keep. You're not... He struggled for words. You're not working off a debt here. She studied him, trying to figure the angle. Then why'd you let me stay? Good question. He didn't have a good answer. Storm's supposed to hit tonight, he said instead. Didn't seem right. It's been 4 days. Storm's over. Next one's coming. She almost smiled. Almost. There's always a next storm. Yeah, he said. There is. That afternoon, Joe appeared at the barn door. Didn't say anything, just stood there. Hector saw her first. Ven, mija, come meet Cisco. She approached. So, hands in pockets. Cisco was the oldest horse, 23, gentle as they came. He'd taught Sarah to ride. Clayton's chest tightened. Hector led the horse out, kept talking low and easy. This is Cisco. He's viejo old, but he's good people. You want to pet him? Joe reached out careful, touched the horse's neck. Cisco turned his head, snuffled at her jacket. She almost laughed. Caught herself, but it was there, a flash of something real beneath the armor. He likes you, Hector said. See, horses know good people. Joe's hand kept moving over Cisco's neck, slow strokes. She was good with him, natural, quiet in the way horses respond to. Clayton watched from inside the barn, seeing her next to Cisco, small and cautious and almost smiling. He turned away, checked tack that didn't need checking. You want to ride? He heard Hector ask. I don't know how. I can teach you. Boss can teach you. Maybe later. But she stayed another hour, just standing with Cisco, running her hands over his mane, whispering things Clayton couldn't hear. When she finally went inside, Hector caught Clayton's eye. She's good for you, Jefe. Don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm finishing something. You've been dead 12 years. Now you're checking on breakfast and teaching kids about horses. I'm not teaching her anything. Not yet, but you will. Dinner was awkward. The three of them at the big table. Too much space. Too much silence. Joe ate fast, efficient. Clayton pushed food around his plate. Hector tried. So, Joe, where are you from? She stopped chewing. Around. Around where? Just around. You got family? Hector, Clayton warned. What? I'm just asking. Drop it. Silence. Joe set down her fork. Can I be excused? You don't gotta ask permission, Clayton said. Then why'd you tell him to drop it? Smart kid. Too smart. Because it's not his business. It's somebody's business, eventually. She stood. I'll leave in a few days, soon as the weather clears. Then nobody's gotta worry about it. She left before he could respond. Hector sighed. Lo siento, boss. I pushed. Yeah. But she's right. Eventually someone's gonna ask questions. Wade, Carol. Hell, May's already talking at the diner. Let them talk. And when Carol shows up? Clayton didn't answer. That night, he did his rounds. Checked every lock, every window. Paused outside Joe's door longer than usual. No light underneath. But he could hear her moving, restless, unable to settle. He almost knocked, almost asked if she was okay. Instead, he went to the end of the hall, the locked door, Sarah's room. He hadn't been inside since before Emma left. 2, 3 years, maybe? Just kept it locked, kept the lamp dust free, kept the memory frozen. He tried the handle. Still locked. Good. He turned away, went to his own room, lay in the dark, listening to the house creak and settle. Downstairs, something moved. Footsteps, light and careful. He got up, moved to the stairs quiet as he could. Joe stood in the hallway, staring at a photo on the wall, the one of him and Sarah, back when his face still knew how to smile. She reached up, traced the frame with one finger. He must have made a sound because she spun around, caught. I was just, it's fine. I wasn't stealing anything. I know. They stood in the dark hallway 10 feet apart. Who is she? Joe asked. My daughter. Where is she? The question he'd been dodging for 4 days. She died 12 years ago. Joe absorbed this. How old? 8. Same age as Joe, near enough. The resemblance was there, not physical exactly, but something in the eyes, that wariness, that ready-to-bolt tension. I'm sorry, Joe said. It was a long time ago. Doesn't matter how long. Still hurts. Yeah, it did. You should sleep, he said. She nodded, started for the stairs, stopped. The door upstairs, the locked one, that was hers? He didn't answer. Okay, Joe said quietly, and went upstairs. Clayton stood alone in the hallway, looking at the photo. Sarah grinning, gap-toothed, holding a stupid fishing pole twice her size. He'd taken that picture the summer before the fire, before everything ended. He turned off the hall light and went back to bed, but he didn't sleep. She found the lamp in the locked room on a Sunday afternoon. Old brass, soot-stained, beautiful. When Clayton saw her holding it, his whole body went stone. Put that down. It had been a week. 7 days since she'd crawled out of the trash. 7 days of careful orbits around each other. Close enough to coexist, far enough not to collide. Joe was getting bolder, exploring more, testing boundaries. Sunday morning, Clayton drove to town for feed, left her with Hector, who was repairing fence on the north pasture. She'd be fine, probably. He was gone 2 hours, long enough for her to make a mistake. She found the key in the kitchen junk drawer, old brass skeleton key, different from the modern locks on the other doors. She'd been looking for a pencil sharpener, found this instead. Curiosity wasn't even the word, more like gravity. She knew which door it opened. Had to be the locked one upstairs. The one nobody mentioned. Hector was outside, house was empty. She could hear the fence posts ringing in the distance, metal on metal, steady rhythm. She climbed the stairs slow, stood outside the door. Don't. But her hand was already moving. Key slid in smooth, lock clicked, door opened. The room exhaled. 12 years of trapped air, dust, silence. Joe stepped inside. Child's room, frozen in time, pink bedspread faded by sun through the window. Stuffed animals on shelves, their button eyes tracking her. Drawings taped to walls, curling at the edges. Crayon horses and stick figure families and a son with a smiley face, a girl's room. The girl from the photo, Sarah. Joe moved through the space like a museum. Don't touch, don't disturb, don't leave evidence. But she looked at everything. Books on a shelf, Charlotte's Web, Where the Red Fern Grows, The Black Stallion. A jewelry box shaped like a carousel. Clothes in the closet, small sizes, outdated styles. On the dresser, a hairbrush with strands of dark hair still caught in the bristles. And next to it, the lamp. Brass, tarnished green in places, glass chimney smudged with old soot. The base had an inscription, engraved in cursive. Joe picked it up carefully, turned it to read. Sarah, light of my life, Dad. Her chest tightened. The lamp was the only thing in the room without dust. Someone came in here. Someone cleaned this. Only this. Joe ran her thumb over the inscription. Imagine Clayton, standing here in the dark, polishing brass, talking to ghosts. She understood that. Talking to people who weren't there anymore. She'd done it plenty. Mom, why'd you leave? Mom, did I do something wrong? Mom, are you even alive? Sound from downstairs. Door opening. Boots on hardwood. Joe's heart kicked. She spun toward the door, still holding the lamp. Clayton's footsteps on the stairs. Coming up. Fast. She should put it down. Should leave. Should... He appeared in the doorway. Their eyes met. His face went through 3 expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, something breaking underneath. Put that down. His voice was gravel and ice. Joe's hands tightened on the lamp. I said put it down. She set it on the dresser, careful as glass. I'm sorry, I found a key, and Get out. As I didn't break anything. Get out. She'd never heard him sound like that. Cold and final, and barely controlled. Joe ran, past him down the hall into her room. Slammed the door, locked it. She stood with her back against it, breathing hard, waiting for him to follow. To yell, to tell her to pack her shit and leave. But no footsteps came. Silence. She pressed her ear to the door. Nothing. After a long time, she heard a sound from down the hall. Quiet, muffled. Was he? No, men like that didn't cry. Especially not men like Clayton, who kept everything locked up tighter than that room. But the sound came again, low and broken and barely human. Joe slid down the door, sat on the floor. She'd fucked up, bad. Tomorrow she'd leave, had to. You don't invade someone's grief like that and expect to stay. Outside her window, clouds rolled in, gray and heavy, pregnant with snow. Another storm coming. There was always another storm. Hours passed. The house stayed quiet. Joe didn't leave her room. Didn't know if she was allowed to. Didn't want to face whatever was waiting downstairs. Around 7, she heard movement. Footsteps, slow and heavy. Kitchen sounds. Cabinet opening, glass clinking, liquid pouring. She cracked her door. Listened. Hector's voice, low. You okay, Jefe? Clayton. Fine. You don't look fine. I said I'm fine. She didn't mean, I know what she meant. Pause. You gonna talk to her? Not tonight. She's scared, boss. Hasn't come out of her room since... I know. Need another pause. She's just a kid. I know that too. Then why you acting like... Because I can't do this, Hector. Clayton's voice cracked. I can't have someone in that room. Can't have someone touching her things. Can't... His words broke off. Hector, quiet. Maybe that's exactly what you need. Get out. Clayton, I said get out. Door closed. Truck started outside. Drove away. Silence again. Joe stood in her doorway, frozen. She'd caused this, whatever this was. She should pack, should leave tonight, storm or no storm. She'd survived worse weather, survived worse everything. But something kept her feet planted. Maybe because she knew that sound. That breaking underneath sound. She'd made it herself plenty of times. Maybe because leaving now felt like abandoning him the way everyone else had. Or maybe because some stupid part of her wanted to stay. She waited until midnight, until the house went completely dark and silent. Then she unlocked her door and crept downstairs. Clayton sat at the kitchen table, one lamp on, bottle of whiskey, mostly empty, glass in his hand, staring at nothing. He looked up when she entered. Didn't tell her to leave. Joe moved slow, stayed near the doorway. Escape route clear. I'm sorry, she said. He didn't answer, just took another drink. I shouldn't have gone in there. No, you shouldn't have. I'll leave tomorrow, soon as it's light. He studied her, eyes red-rimmed, exhausted. That what you want? It's what you want. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Clayton set down his glass, rubbed his face with both hands. I'm not... He stopped, started again. I'm not good at this. At what? People. Being around people. Having someone here. Joe shifted her weight. You got Hector. Hector works for me. That's different. Well, how? He can leave when he wants. Go home, get away from... He gestured vaguely at himself. This. What is this? Clayton looked at her, really looked. You actually want to know? Joe nodded. He was quiet a long time. Then she died in a fire. The barn. Old wiring, winter storm, everything was dry as kindling. I was in town, signing papers for a land deal. Oil rights. Would have set us up for life. His voice was flat, reciting facts. By the time I got home, barn was gone. So was she. Joe's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. He picked up the glass again, didn't drink. My wife, Emma, she left 6 months later, said she couldn't look at me without seeing what I chose. Money over being home. Business over family. But you didn't know? Doesn't matter. I should have been there. He finally drank. I keep that room locked because if I don't, I'll sit in there all day. Keep the lamp clean because it's the only thing that survived the fire. Emma gave it to Sarah for her 7th birthday. Sarah took it to the barn that night. When they found her, he stopped. Couldn't finish. Joe understood. The lamp had been there, had seen everything, was the only witness. She moved to the sink, filled a glass with water, set it next to his whiskey. He stared at it. What's that? Water. I can see that. So drink it. Small act, simple. But his eyes tracked it like she'd handed him something precious. He didn't drink it immediately. Just let it sit there. Proof of something. Joe leaned against the counter. My mom didn't die. She just left. Clayton waited. I was 6, came home from school, she was gone. No note, no nothing, just gone. Foster system took me. 5 different houses in 3 years. Last one, she stopped. Doesn't matter. I ran. How long you been on your own? About a year. Jesus. I'm good at it. Nobody's good at that. You just survive it. Same difference. No, it's not. They sat with that. The kitchen clock ticked. Outside, wind picked up, rattling windows. Sometimes, Joe said quietly, leaving is harder than dying. Clayton looked at her, saw her. Not Sarah, not a ghost, not a burden, her. Yeah, he said. Sometimes it is. The water glass sat between them. He still hadn't touched it. But he hadn't pushed it away either. Finally, Joe spoke. I really am sorry. About the room. You didn't know. Still. I shouldn't have yelled. You weren't yelling. You were... She searched for the word. Protecting. He nodded. That was closer. Silence. Easier now. Less sharp. Joe pushed off the counter. I should sleep. Joe, she stopped. You don't gotta leave tomorrow. Her chest did something complicated. Why not? Because, he struggled. Because there's another storm coming, and I got plenty of space, and he couldn't say the rest. But she heard it anyway. Because I'm tired of being alone. Because maybe you're tired too. Because neither of us knows how to do this, but we're here anyway. Okay, she said. Okay. I'll stay. For now. He nodded, picked up the water glass, drank half. Small thing. But it meant something. She went upstairs, crawled into bed. For the first time since arriving, she took off her shoes before sleeping. Outside, snow started falling. Soft at first, then harder, covering everything in white, erasing tracks, offering reset. By morning, the world would look clean again. But they'd both still be there, under the same roof, figuring out how two broken people could share space without cutting each other worse. It wasn't much, but it was something. The county woman pulled up 3 days before Thanksgiving in a beige sedan that looked like every bad thing Josie had ever run from. Clayton met her at the property line. She's not here. 10 days. That's how long it took. 10 days of careful peace. Routines forming. Joe helping with chores, learning to ride Cisco, sleeping without shoes. Clayton talking more, drinking less, checking locks with her in mind instead of against the world. 10 days before the system found them, Carol Pritchard stepped out of her sedan with a briefcase and a tired smile. Mid-40s, sensible shoes, the kind of face that had seen too much and still showed up for work. Clayton was fixing the gate when she arrived. Saw the county plates, knew immediately. He met her at the cattle guard, 50 yards from the house, blocking the path. Mr. Mercer? She extended a hand. He didn't take it. This is private property. I'm Carol Pritchard, Child Protective Services. I'm not here to cause trouble. She lowered her hand. I just need to speak with the child. What child? Mr. Mercer, please. We both know there's a girl staying here. Multiple witnesses at May's Diner. Sheriff Wade mentioned it. I'm required to follow up. Wade's got a big mouth. Wade's doing his job, same as me. She softened her tone. Look, I understand you meant well, but there are procedures for... She's fine. I'm sure she is, but I need to verify that. Background check, home assessment, documentation of guardianship, or foster certification. I don't have any of that. Then we have a problem. Inside the house, Joe stood at the kitchen window, watching, her chest tight, hands shaking. She knew this type, knew that briefcase, that smile, those sensible shoes. They always smiled, always said they were helping. Then they put you in a car, and you never saw daylight the same way again. Hector appeared behind her. It's okay, mija. Boss'll handle it. No, he won't. They don't listen to people like him. People like him, he's rich, he's white, he owns half the county. Doesn't matter. Joe backed away from the window. They'll take me anyway. Where are you going? Where do you think? She was already moving, upstairs, grabbing her jacket, the good one Clayton bought her last week, checking pockets for the $20 bill she'd stolen from his wallet days ago. Insurance. Always have insurance. Hector followed. Joe, wait. I'm not going back. Her voice cracked. I can't. But nobody's making you. They always say that. Then the car doors lock and you're gone. She pushed past him, down the stairs, heading for the back door. But Clayton was already there, blocking it, Carol behind him. Joe. His voice was careful. This is Ms. Pritchard. She just wants to talk. No. Joe's back hit the wall, trapped. Carol's smile was professional, practiced. Hi, sweetheart. I'm Carol. I work with the county. I'm here to make sure you're safe, and I'm fine. I'm sure you are. But we have rules about... I didn't ask for your rules. I know, but they exist to protect children like you. I don't need protecting. Carol glanced at Clayton. Message clear. See? This is why professionals need to handle it. Clayton's jaw tightened. She's staying here. She's safe. That's all that matters. It's not that simple, Mr. Mercer. Without proper documentation, guardianship papers, foster certification, then I'll get them. And that process takes months. Background checks, home studies, character references. Fine. Whatever you need. And in the meantime, the child needs to be placed in emergency foster care until... No. Joe's voice cut through. I'm not going. Carol's patience was professional but wearing thin. Honey, I understand this is scary, but... You don't understand shit. Joe, Clayton warned. But she was past listening, past rational. Survival brain taking over. Fight, flight, or freeze. She'd done freeze in too many foster homes. Not again. Her eyes darted around the room looking for exits, weapons, leverage. They landed on the side table, the lamp. Clayton had moved it from Sarah's room 2 days ago, brought it downstairs. Small gesture, but huge. letting Sarah's memory into the living space, letting Joe's presence coexist with it. Now Joe grabbed it, held it like proof, like ammunition. He gave me this. Her voice shook. It was his daughter's. He trusted me with it. That means something. Clayton's face went pale. Joe, put that down. No, she needs to see, I'm not just some random kid. He chose me. He let me stay. Carol's expression shifted. Concern now, not bureaucratic distance. Sweetheart, that's exactly my point. Informal arrangements like this. Without legal protection, without oversight. I don't need oversight. I need... Joe's hands trembled. The lamp shook. I need someone who doesn't give up. Put the lamp down, Clayton said, not angry, desperate. You said I could stay. I know. You said there was another storm coming, and you had space, and... I know what I said. Then tell her. Joe's voice cracked completely. Tell her I'm staying. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. You either want me here, or you don't. Silence. Terrible, heavy silence. Clayton's face was storm and stone and something breaking underneath. I never said you could stay permanently. The words landed like bullets. Joe's hands loosened. The lamp slipped. It didn't break. Just hit the hardwood with a terrible hollow sound. Rolled once, stopped. Nobody moved. Joe stared at the lamp on the floor, at Clayton, at the truth she'd been too stupid to see. He never promised anything. She'd assumed, she'd hoped. She'd let herself believe that 10 days of breakfast and horses and taking off her shoes meant something permanent. But he never said it, never promised, just like everyone else. I see. Joe's voice was flat now. Dead. Okay. Joe, I get it. I was temporary, just until you figured out what to do with me. That's not... Yeah, it is. Carol stepped forward, professional mask back in place. Look, this doesn't have to be adversarial. Miss Mercer, if you're serious about fostering, I can send you the paperwork. It's a lengthy process, but how lengthy? Clayton's eyes stayed on Joe. 6 months minimum, background checks, home studies, training courses. If everything goes smoothly, and in the meantime, the child should be placed in a licensed foster home for 6 months. If that's how long it takes, Clayton finally looked at Carol. What if I don't let her go? Then I involve the sheriff, and this becomes a legal issue. Nobody wants that. Maybe I do. Carol's patience snapped. Mr. Mercer, I understand you're attached, but this is a child's welfare we're discussing. Not a stray dog you can just, get out. Excuse me? Get off my property. Mr. Mercer? Now. Carol's eyes hardened. Fine, I'll be back tomorrow with Sheriff Wade and a court order, and when I do, the child will be placed in county custody. If you interfere, you'll face charges. Do you understand? Clayton said nothing. Carol picked up her briefcase, headed for the door, stopped, looked at Joe. Sweetheart, I know this feels unfair, but trust me, this is for your protection. Joe didn't respond, just stared at the lamp on the floor. Carol left, car started, gravel crunching, gone. Hector, who'd been standing in the corner like furniture, finally spoke. Boss, not now. You just made everything worse. I said not now. Hector left through the back door. Clayton and Joe stood 10 feet apart, the lamp between them like a border. I didn't call her, Clayton said quietly. I didn't tell anyone. Doesn't matter. She knows now. Joe, why'd you let me stay if you knew this would happen? I didn't know. Bullshit. You knew someone would come eventually. You just didn't care because I was, what, a project? Something to fix so you'd feel better about Sarah? That's not fair. None of this is fair, she was yelling now. I thought maybe you... She couldn't finish, couldn't admit what she'd thought. That maybe he wanted her. Not as charity, not as penance. Actually wanted her. Stupid. So goddamn stupid. She grabbed her jacket off the chair, headed for the door. Where are you going? Anywhere but here. On Joe, it's gonna snow. Then I'll freeze. At least that's honest. She slammed out before he could stop her. Clayton stood alone in the sudden silence, staring at the lamp. Sarah's lamp. The thing he'd kept sacred for 12 years, now just another broken promise on the floor. He bent down, picked it up, checked for cracks, still intact, somehow. But it felt different in his hands now. Heavier, wrong. He'd brought it downstairs, thinking it meant healing. Letting go. Moving forward. Turns out, it just meant he'd found a new way to fail. Outside, snow started falling. Early, heavy, mean. And somewhere out there, a 9-year-old girl was running into it. Again, she left before dawn. No note. Just empty hangers in the closet and the lamp sitting carefully on the bed. Returned, like everything else he'd ever loved. Clayton knew before he opened his eyes. The house felt different, lighter, wrong. He got up at 5:30, same as always, put on coffee, went through motions, but his body already understood what his brain wouldn't admit yet. At 6, he climbed the stairs, stood outside her door. Open. That was the first sign. She'd kept it closed every night for 10 days. Privacy, control, escape route. Now, open. He pushed it wider. The room looked like nobody had ever been there. Bed made military tight, dresser clear, window closed. Only the hangers moved slightly on the closet rod, empty metal shoulders swaying in the heat vent's breath. And on the bed, centered perfectly the lamp, she'd left it behind. Clayton's chest did something complicated. She'd taken nothing. Not the clothes he bought, not the 20 he knew she'd stolen from his wallet, not even the drawing of Cisco she'd taped to the mirror. Just left, clean, erasing herself, like she'd learned that trick a long time ago. He sat on the bed, picked up the lamp, still warm from her hands. She must have held it a long time before deciding. Returned, like everything else he'd ever loved. His throat closed. Downstairs, Hector's truck pulled up, early, but Hector had a sense for disasters. "Boss," voice from the kitchen. "You up here?" Clayton couldn't answer. Hector appeared in the doorway, saw the empty room, the lamp, Clayton's face. "Ah, mierda. Yeah. When?" "Sometime after midnight, I guess. Before the snow got bad." "How long's she got on us?" 5, 6 hours, maybe. Hector pulled out his phone. "I'll call Wade. Get search parties." "No." "Clayton, I said no. She's 9 years old in a blizzard. And if we call Wade, Carol shows up with county custody orders. Joe gets found, gets taken, ends up in the system. That what you want?" Hector's jaw worked. "Better than frozen to death." "She's smart. She'll find shelter." "You don't know that." "No." Clayton set the lamp down carefully. "But I know what happens if we involve the law. Carol made it real clear yesterday." "So what's your plan? Just let her go?" Clayton stood, looked at Hector. "I'm going to find her myself." "How?" "I'll check everywhere. Bus stations, bus shelters, diners, truck stops, every place a cold kid might run to. That's half the state." "Then I better get started." He moved past Hector, down the stairs, grabbed his jacket, keys, phone. "Clayton," Hector followed. "You can't save everyone." Clayton stopped, turned. "I'm not trying to save everyone. Just her. Sorry. Just her." "And why? What's so special about this one?" The question sat between them. Heavy, real. Clayton didn't have an answer that made sense. Just, "Because I let her think she mattered. Then I took it back." "You didn't." "I did. She asked if she could stay, and I said never said you could stay permanently." Like she was. Like she was temporary, disposable. "You were being honest. I was being a coward." Clayton's voice cracked. "And now she's out there thinking nobody wants her. Again." He left before Hector could argue. The storm was getting worse. Snow coming down thick, roads already sketchy. Clayton drove careful. Truck had 4-wheel drive, but physics didn't care about money. First stop, May's Diner. Only place open this early. May was wiping tables when he walked in. Looked up, saw his face. "New?" "She run?" May asked. "Yeah." You check the back?" "Sometimes kids hide in the dumpster alcove when it's cold." "Not there." "Already looked." May poured coffee without asking, set it in front of him. "What happened?" "County came. Said she had to go into foster care. We fought. She ran." "You call Wade?" "Can't. Carol said if I interfere, they'll press charges. If I call Wade, he's obligated to tell Carol." "So you're doing this alone?" "Yeah." May studied him. She'd known Clayton 25 years. Served him coffee the morning after Sarah died. Watched him turn into a ghost. "You love this kid," she said. Not a question. "I don't know what I—" He stopped. "I just need to find her." You got a photo?" He pulled out his phone, the picture of Joe with Cisco, only one he had. May looked at it. "I'll ask around. Someone might have seen her." "Thanks." "Clayton." May's voice softened. "What are you going to do if you find her? County's still going to come." "I don't know, but I'll figure it out." Before or after they arrest you?" "Doesn't matter." May shook her head. 12 years I've been waiting for you to care about something again. Had to be the most complicated thing possible, didn't it?" "I don't pick 'em well." "No, you don't." He left the coffee untouched, drove to the next town, and the next. Showing Joe's photo at gas stations, motels, shelters. Got the same response everywhere. "Nope. Sorry." Lots of kids come through. By noon, the roads were nearly impassable. Clayton kept driving anyway. His phone rang. "Hector." "Boss, you need to come back. Roads are closing." "Not yet." "You're going to get stuck out there." "Then I get stuck." "Clayton?" He hung up, kept driving. Around 2, Sheriff Wade called. Clayton let it go to voicemail. Listen later. Clayton, I know you're looking for her. Carol called. She's filing a report. If the girl doesn't turn up, there'll be questions. Serious ones. Call me back. He didn't. At 4, he pulled into a truck stop near the Idaho border. Last place before the mountain pass closed. Inside, he showed Joe's photo to the clerk. Yeah, I seen her. This morning, maybe 7 a.m. Bought a hot chocolate, sat in the corner for an hour, looked cold. Clayton's heart kicked. She say where she was going? Nope. But a trucker gave her a ride. Headed west, I think. You know which trucker? Big guy, red rig, Montana plates. That's all I got. West. Toward Idaho, Oregon, Washington. Away from everything. Clayton stood in the truck stop, parking lot. Snow falling hard now. Nearly whiteout conditions. He called Hector. I found someone who saw her. She caught a ride west. Boss, you can't follow in this weather. I know. His voice broke. I know. Let's come home. She's out there because of me. She's out there because she's scared. You can't fix that by freezing to death. Clayton stood there a long time. Snow accumulating on his shoulders, phone pressed to his ear. I failed her, he said quietly. Not yet, you didn't, but you will if you die on this mountain. I failed Sarah too. Silence on the line. Then Hector gentle. That's what this is about. Clayton couldn't answer. Come home, Hefe. We'll figure it out, but you gotta come home. He drove back. Took 3 hours in conditions that should have taken 1. Nearly slid off the road twice. Didn't care. By the time he reached the ranch, it was dark. House lights on. Hector had stayed, keeping watch. Clayton walked in. Hector took one look at his face and didn't ask. Just handed him coffee. Pointed at the couch. Sit. I'll make food. Clayton sat, stared at nothing. On the side table, the lamp. Hector must have brought it down. Evidence of another failure. Another person he couldn't save. That night, Clayton sat in the dark living room. Couldn't bring himself to turn on lights. Couldn't bring himself to move. Hector had left food on the table. Hadn't touched it. The lamp sat 3 feet away. Accusation in brass. Around midnight, he finally picked it up. Held it like he had 1,000 times before. Mechanical, ritual, meaningless. But tonight, it felt different. Heavier, because Joe had held it last. Had polished it that morning. He'd seen the cloth in her room. The brass cleaner she must have found under the sink. She'd been taking care of it. Taking care of Sarah's memory. Then she'd left it behind. I'm not worth keeping. But this is... His hands shook. The lamp blurred. He realized he was crying. First time in 12 years. The memory came whether he wanted it or not. December 2nd, 1976. Cold night, getting colder. Sarah in the barn, with her lamp, playing with the new kittens. Emma inside, making dinner. Clayton, in town, meeting with oil company reps. The deal was huge. Mineral rights on the back 40. Enough money to pay off the ranch, send Sarah to any college she wanted, set them up for life. He'd been negotiating for months. Tonight was signing night. The call came at 8:47 p.m. Mr. Mercer, this is Deputy Collins. There's been a fire. The rest was white noise. He drove 90 miles an hour on ice. Didn't care. Didn't slow down. By the time he arrived, the barn was gone. Just smoking timbers and chemical smell and lights everywhere. Fire trucks, ambulance, sheriff. Emma on her knees in the snow, screaming, just screaming. Sarah's body so small under that sheet. The lamp next to her. Soot-stained but intact. Glass cracked but not broken. The only witness. Later they'd say electrical fire. Old wiring, dry hay. Perfect conditions. Nobody's fault. But Emma knew better. Where were you? She'd screamed at him. Where the hell were you? I was signing papers. For what? Money? She needed you home? Emma, get away from me. Get away from her. 6 months later, Emma left. Took nothing. Just disappeared like smoke. And Clayton stayed. Built walls. Made money. Kept the lamp clean. Penance without redemption. 12 years of it. He came back to the present. Face wet. Body shaking. All this time he'd told himself the story wrong. He'd thought, I failed Sarah by not being there. But that wasn't the real guilt. The fire was an accident. Investigator said so. Pastor said so. Even Emma, in her final letter, had said so. It wasn't your fault she died. But it's your fault you stopped living. The real guilt was simpler, harder. He'd shut everyone out after. Sent Emma away with silence. Fired ranch hands who showed emotion. Turned the ranch into a fortress. Spent 12 years building an empire around a grave. He didn't fail Sarah by being gone that night. He failed her by refusing to be present ever since. And now he was doing it again. Joe had reached out, through breakfast, through horses, through stealing the lamp key and asking about Sarah, and he'd kept her at arm's length. Never said stay. Never said you matter. Never let himself need her because needing meant losing, and losing meant pain. So she left before he could. I'm not afraid of losing people. I'm afraid of needing them. That was his real wound. He set the lamp down, stood, moved to the window. Outside, the storm raged. Snow piling up, wind screaming, temperature dropping into the teens. Joe was out there somewhere. In a trucker's cab, in a shelter, in another goddamn trash pile. Because he'd been too scared to say 5 words. I want you to stay. His phone buzzed. Text from Wade. Carol's coming tomorrow with county orders. If you know where the girl is, you need to tell me. This is getting serious. Clayton stared at the message. He could comply. Call Wade. Admit he didn't know where she was. Let the system handle it. Stay out of trouble. Stay safe. Or he could fight. Not with violence. Not with money. With something he hadn't used in 12 years. Vulnerability. Need. The willingness to say I failed, and I'm sorry, and I'll do whatever it takes. He typed back. I'll handle it. Wade's response came immediately. How? Clayton didn't answer. Didn't know yet. But he knew one thing. He couldn't save Sarah. She was gone, but Joe was still alive, still out there, still thinking she was temporary, disposable, not worth fighting for. And maybe, if he could find her and prove her wrong, he could finally stop punishing himself for being human. He looked at the lamp one more time. I'm sorry, he whispered, to Sarah, to Emma, to the ghost he'd been living with. But I gotta let you go now. The lamp didn't answer, just sat there, brass and glass in memory. He turned off the light, went upstairs, lay in bed. Outside, the storm screamed. Inside, Clayton Mercer, for the first time in 12 years, decided to stop hiding. Tomorrow, he'd go to Carol's office, file the papers, beg if he had to, follow every rule, meet every requirement, humble himself in front of the whole county, if that's what it took. But first, he had to find her. Had to tell her, you're not temporary. I was just too scared to say it. The storm would break eventually. It always did, and when it did, he'd be ready. He drove the back roads for 3 days. Every diner, every shelter, every place a cold child might hide. The snow kept falling, the roads kept emptying, and Clayton kept looking. Day 1, he showed Joe's photo to 16 people. Gas station clerks, motel managers, truck stop waitresses, all said the same. Nope, sorry, lots of kids come through. Day 2, Wade called 4 times. Clayton answered once. You need to come in, Clayton. Carol's got a court order. If you're hiding the girl, I'm not hiding her. I'm looking for her. Then let us help. We can issue an Amber Alert, get state patrol. And the second you find her, Carol takes her. Puts her in some foster home where nobody knows her name. That what you want? Silence on Wade's end. I'll handle it, Clayton said, and hung up. Day 3. The storm broke. Sky cleared to brutal blue. Temperature dropped to 8 degrees, beautiful and deadly. He pulled over on the ridge overlooking his ranch. Could see the whole spread from here. Barn, house, fence lines running for miles. Everything he'd built in 12 years. Monument to nothing. His phone rang. May. Clayton, honey, you need to eat. Come to the diner. Can't. You can't find her if you're dead. I'll eat when I find her. That's what you said yesterday. He hung up. Sat there on the ridge, engine running for heat, staring at his kingdom of ice. This was where he used to bring Sarah. She'd loved it up here. Called it the top of the world. And they'd pack sandwiches, sit on the tailgate, count hawks. Daddy, how many trees you think are on our land? I don't know, baby. Thousands. That's a lot of trees. We're lucky. Yeah, we are. She'd been 8, 3 months before the fire. He closed his eyes. Talked to her now, like he should have been doing for 12 years. I told myself I was protecting you by working, making sure we'd be okay. But really, I was just scared. His breath fogged the windshield. Scared you'd need me and I wouldn't know what to do. Scared I'd mess up. So I worked instead, stayed busy instead, and when you died, I kept working, kept building. Told myself it was for you, but it was just easier than feeling. The wind rocked the truck. Emma was right. She said I chose money over being there. I said no, I was providing. But providing's just another word for hiding. He opened his eyes, looked at the ranch below. I did it again with Joe. Let her in just enough to feel something, then pulled back the second it got real. Never promised her anything, never let myself need her. Because needing means risking. And risking means losing. And I already lost you. His voice cracked. But here's the thing, baby. Pushing people away? That's just losing them slower. Emma left. Joe left. Hector's probably gonna leave too eventually. Everyone leaves when you won't let them stay. A hawk circled overhead. Sarah would have counted it. I can't fix what happened to you. Can't go back. Can't make myself be there that night. But I can stop doing this. Stop building walls. Stop pretending I'm fine alone. He wiped his face. Joe's out there thinking nobody wants her, thinking she's trash. Temporary, not worth fighting for. And that's on me. I made her feel that way. The hawk disappeared into the trees. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go home. I'm going to call Carol. I'm going to file the paperwork, do the background checks, take the classes, whatever they want. I'm going to humble myself in front of the whole county if that's what it takes. He put the truck in gear. And when they find her, because they will, eventually, I'm going to tell her something I should have said 10 days ago. He started down the mountain, that she's not temporary, that I want her to stay, that I'm scared as hell, but I'm choosing her anyway. The ranch grew larger as he descended, because you can't teach me anymore, baby, but she can. She can teach me how to be brave enough to need someone, how to let people in, how to stop punishing myself for being human. He hit the main road, turned toward home. I love you. I'll always love you, but I gotta let you go now. Gotta stop living in that locked room. Gotta put your lamp in the window where it belongs, giving light, not collecting dust. The ranch gate appeared ahead. Joe needs someone who won't give up, who'll fight for her, who'll mess up and apologize and try again. He pulled into the driveway. So, that's what I'm gonna be. Not perfect, just present. He turned off the truck, sat in the silence. For 12 years, he'd been talking to ghosts. Time to talk to the living. He got out, walked to the house. Hector's truck was there. Man had basically moved in, keeping watch. Clayton found him in the kitchen making coffee. Boss? Hector looked up. You okay? No, but I'm done hiding. What's that mean? Means tomorrow I'm going to Carol's office. Filing for custody. Doing this right. Hector studied him, saw something different. And if they find Joe before you're approved, then I'll tell her I'm trying, that I didn't give up, that she matters more than my pride or my fear or my 12-year-old bullshit. Hector nodded slowly. Okay then. Okay. Clayton poured himself coffee. First real food in 3 days. It tasted like coming back to life. Clayton walked into the county office at 8 a.m. on the 4th day, unshaven and snow-covered, and put the papers on Carol's desk. I'm filing for custody. Tell me what I need to do. Carol Pritchard looked up from her computer, took in his appearance. 3 days of no sleep written on his face, coffee stains on his jacket, desperation held together by sheer will. Mr. Mercer, she set down her pen. I didn't expect. I want to do this right. He stayed standing, didn't trust his legs to sit. Whatever forms you need, whatever process, I'll do it. She studied him, seeing something different from 4 days ago. Have a seat. He sat. Carol pulled a folder from her drawer, thick, official. Foster care certification in Montana requires several steps. Background check, criminal, financial, personal. Home study. Inspector visits your property, evaluates living conditions, interviews character references, training courses, 12 hours minimum on trauma-informed care, child development, legal obligations. Okay. The process typically takes 6 to 8 months, sometimes longer if there are complications. Oh, I understand. Mr. Mercer, she softened slightly. I appreciate that you're here. But even if I fast-track everything, even if you pass every requirement, we still have to locate the child first. His jaw tightened. I know. Do you have any idea where she might be? Truck stop clerk near the Idaho border saw her 3 days ago. She caught a ride with a trucker heading west. That's all I got. Carol made a note. I'll contact Idaho and Washington Social Services. Issue a bulletin. But Mr. Mercer, you need to understand, when we find her, she'll be placed in emergency care until your certification is complete. That's non-negotiable. For how long? 6 months minimum. 6 months. Half a year. In a system that had already chewed her up and spit her out multiple times. What if... He stopped. Started over. What if I have character references ready? What if I do the training courses this week? What if I move faster than your timeline? It doesn't work that way. Why not? Because the rules exist to protect children. To make sure people like... She caught herself. People like me, Clayton finished. Rich men who think they can buy their way around regulations. Carol's expression said yes, exactly. You're right, he said. She blinked. Excuse me? You're right. I thought I could just keep her, like she was a stray. Didn't think about documentation or legal protection or what happens if I die, and she's got nothing official. That was arrogant, dangerous even. Carol leaned back, reassessing. But here's what you need to understand, Clayton continued. Joe ran because she thought she was temporary, because I never promised her different, never said the words out loud, and now she's out there thinking nobody wants her, again. Mr. Mercer, I'm not asking you to bend rules. I'm asking you to help me follow them, fast as possible, because every day she's out there is another day she thinks she's disposable. Silence. Carol picked up a pen. I'll need 3 character references, people who've known you at least 5 years, not family. I can do that. Financial disclosure, tax returns, bank statements, proof of stable income, and done. The home study inspector will need to see the child's proposed bedroom. Private space, adequate furnishing, safety measures. She's already got a room. I'll make sure it meets code. Carol wrote faster. Background check will take 2 weeks. Training courses can be done online. I'll send you the links. But Mr. Mercer, even if you complete everything perfectly, I can't guarantee. I know, but I'm going to try anyway. She looked at him, really looked, saw past the money, the land, the walls he'd built, saw someone who'd finally decided to show up. All right. She pulled forms from the folder. Start with these. Personal history, employment verification, housing details. Be thorough. Any omissions or false statements will disqualify you immediately. He took the forms. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to be invasive. They'll interview your neighbors, your employees, people at church. They'll want to know about your marriage, your daughter, why your wife left, everything. I know. And when they ask about Sarah, when they dig into that, it's going to hurt. It already hurts. At least this hurt means something. Carol's expression softened completely. Mr. Mercer, can I ask you something off the record? Yeah. Why this child? Why now? You've been alone 12 years. What made Joe different? He was quiet a moment. Then, because she looked at my dead daughter's lamp and didn't run. Because she made me breakfast without being asked. Because she called me out when I was hiding. And because when I finally told her about Sarah, she said, doesn't matter how long, still hurts. Like she understood grief better at 9 than I do at 52. He met Carol's eyes. She taught me something in 10 days that I forgot for 12 years. That being scared doesn't mean you quit. It means you try harder. Carol nodded slowly, set down her pen. I'll prioritize your application. It's still going to take months, but I'll do what I can. And that's all I'm asking. She stood, extended her hand. One more thing. He shook it. If we find her before you're certified, and she asks about you, what should I tell her? Clayton didn't hesitate. Tell her I'm trying. Tell her I didn't give up. Tell her she's not temporary. Okay. Carol handed him the folder. Get started on those forms. And Mr. Mercer, get some sleep. You look like hell. Yes, ma'am. He left the office with a stack of paperwork and something he hadn't had in days. Purpose. That night, town meeting at the church basement. Carol had called it. Required community input for foster applications. Clayton arrived early, sat in the back row, watched the room fill. May, Sheriff Wade, Pastor Holt, ranch owners, shopkeepers, diner regulars, people who'd known him 30 years, people who'd watched him build walls. Carol stood at the front, professional, fair. We're here to discuss Clayton Mercer's application for foster certification, specifically regarding a 9-year-old girl currently missing. I need to hear from this community, character assessments, concerns, support. Silence, uncomfortable. Nobody wanted to go first. Finally, a voice. What's he really want with her? Clayton recognized the speaker, rancher from 3 counties over. Didn't know him well. More voices. Seemed suspicious. Rich man playing savior. What happened to his own kid? Wade stood. That's enough. Clayton's a good man. Known him 20 years. Then where's he been those 20 years? Someone else. Locked up in that mansion. Now suddenly he cares about some runaway? The room murmured. Agreement. Suspicion. Clayton stood. Everyone turned. You're right, he said. Silence. I've been locked up 12 years. My daughter Sarah died in a barn fire. I was in town, signing business papers. By the time I got home, his voice caught. She was gone. My wife left 6 months later. Said I chose money over family. She was right. People shifted, uncomfortable with honesty. I spent 12 years building an empire around a grave. Fired anyone who showed emotion. Pushed everyone away. Told myself I was fine alone. He looked around the room, met eyes. Then Joe showed up, hiding in my trash, scared, hungry, and something in me woke up. I don't know why her. Don't know why now. But for 10 days, I had a reason to get up. Someone to make breakfast for. Someone who needed me. His voice broke, and I screwed it up. Never told her she could stay, never promised anything, because I was scared. Scared of losing again. Scared of needing someone. May wiped her eyes. So she ran. Now she's out there thinking she's disposable. Temporary, not worth fighting for, and that's on me. He took a breath. I can't do this alone. I need help. I need people to vouch for me, teach me, call me out when I'm hiding. I need this community to tell Carol whether I'm worth the risk. Silence. Then May stood. I'll vouch for him. Pastor Holt, me too. Wade, count me in. Hector, from the back. Been working for him 30 years. He's stubborn as hell, but he's here. That's got to count for something. One by one, people stood. Not everyone, but enough. Carol watched, made notes, finally nodded. All right, I'll move forward with the application. But Mr. Mercer, this doesn't guarantee anything. I know, but thank you. The meeting broke up, people filed out. A few shook his hand. Most just nodded. He was heading for his truck when his phone rang. Wade. Clayton. We got a call. Girl matching Joe's description at a truck stop near the Idaho border. His heart stopped. When? Now. Carol's heading there. I'm going too. You. I'm coming. Clayton. I'm coming. But I'll wait in the truck. I'll let you handle it. I promise. Pause. All right. Meet us there. The drive took 90 minutes. Felt like years. Wade's cruiser was already there when Clayton arrived. Carol's sedan too. He parked. Waited. Hands shaking on the steering wheel. 10 minutes. 15. Forever. Then the truck stop door opened. Wade emerged. Carol. And between them, wrapped in a blanket, Joe. She looked smaller, thinner, exhausted. Clayton got out of his truck slow, stayed by the door, gave her space. Joe saw him, froze. Their eyes met across 50 feet of snow-covered parking lot. He didn't move, didn't call out, just stood there waiting, let her choose. Carol said something to Joe. Joe shook her head, said something back. Then slowly, Joe started walking toward him. Not running, not flying into his arms like a movie, just walking, careful, testing. She stopped 3 feet away. You came, she said. Yeah. I thought, her voice broke. I thought you'd be done. No. Why? He crouched down, eye level. Because I should have said this 10 days ago. I want you to stay. If you want to, no matter how long it takes to make it legal. No matter what. You said I was temporary. I was wrong. I was scared. But I'm done being scared. Carol says you filed papers. Yeah. Gonna take months. They'll dig into everything, ask hard questions. But I'm doing it. For you. Joe's eyes filled. What if they say no? Then I'll try again and again until they say yes. Or until you tell me to stop. Why? Because you're not temporary, and neither am I. Her face crumpled. She closed the distance, buried her face in his shoulder. He held her, gentle, solid. There. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. She didn't answer, just held on. Behind them, Hector's truck pulled up. He'd followed. Old man got out, saw them, smiled. Vámonos a casa, Jefe. Clayton looked at Joe. You ready? She nodded into his jacket. Carol approached. Mr. Mercer, legally, I need to place her in temporary care until, I know, do what you need to do. But tonight, can she come home, just tonight? Carol looked at Joe, at Clayton, at the way they held each other. Tonight, she said. Tomorrow we figure out logistics. Fair enough. They drove home through clearing skies. Joe in the passenger seat, Hector following. She didn't talk. Just stared out the window. You hungry? Clayton asked. Yeah. Hector probably left food. If not, I'll make something. You cook now? Learning. Small smile, almost invisible. Okay. They pulled into the ranch. House lights on. Home. Joe got out, stood looking at it. I left the lamp. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's yours if you want it. She looked at him. Really? Yeah. Sarah would want someone to keep it lit. They went inside. Warm, solid, real. Tomorrow would be complicated, legal, hard. But tonight, they were home. Both of them. Spring came slow to Montana that year. But by March, something green was growing in the garden Josie planted, and the lamp sat in the kitchen window, lit every evening at dusk. 3 months. That's how long it took for the house to feel like someone actually lived there. Joe's drawings covered the fridge, her boots by the door, her jacket on the hook, Cisco's mane braided with bright yarn she'd bought at the craft store in town. The legal process crawled. Background checks, home studies, interviews. Carol came twice a month, clipboard and questions. Wade stopped by weekly, unofficial but watching. The county required proof of stability. And Clayton was learning that stability meant showing up, not having money. Joe went to school now, 4th grade at Crimson Flats Elementary, behind in reading, ahead in survival. Teachers said she was adjusting, which meant still skittish, still watchful, but starting to laugh during recess. Some nights she had nightmares. Woke up scared, checking locks, making sure exits were clear. Those nights, Clayton sat outside her door, not hovering, just there, present. Some mornings she made breakfast for 3. Other mornings she forgot, and nobody cared. It wasn't perfect. It was real. Late March evening, clear sky, last light fading. Joe came home from school with a project, drawing of her family. She showed it to Clayton at dinner. We had to draw who we live with. The paper showed a tall man, a girl, an old man with a hat, Hector, and 4 horses. That's good, Clayton said. Teacher asked if you were my dad. His chest tightened. What'd you say? Said you're working on it. She took a bite of potatoes. That okay? Yeah, that's okay. Hector, across the table, hid his smile behind his coffee. After dinner, Joe did homework at the kitchen table. Clayton washed dishes. Through the window, he could see the lamp. Brass polished, glass clean, flame steady. They'd moved it from Sarah's room 2 weeks ago, put it in the kitchen window where everyone could see it. Joe's idea. Sarah shouldn't be locked up, she'd said. She should be helping. And somehow it worked. The lamp in the window didn't feel like grief anymore. Felt like blessing. Like Sarah saying, "It's okay, Dad. You can let me go now. You can keep living." Can I ask you something? Joe's voice pulled him back. Yeah. Do you think she'd be mad that you gave me her lamp? He dried his hands, sat down across from her. No. I think she'd be glad someone's keeping it lit. Joe nodded, went back to her math homework. Quiet. Comfortable. The kind of silence that didn't need filling. After a while, she spoke again, quieter. I used to think I was trash. Actually, that's why I hid there. Clayton's throat closed. You're not. I know. She looked up, met his eyes. You taught me that. No, you taught me. Taught you what? He thought about it. About 12 years of walls. About Emma leaving. About Sarah's locked room and the lamp gathering dust. About 10 days that changed everything. That the people worth saving, he said slowly, are usually the ones saving you. Joe studied him, understanding something adults took years to learn. Yeah, she said, I guess. Outside, the dinner bell rang. Hector calling them for dessert. Apple pie May had dropped off that afternoon. Joe pushed back from the table. You coming? Yeah, in a minute. She headed inside. He stayed on the porch, looking out at the ranch. The land hadn't changed. Still 10,000 acres of Montana high plains. Still cattle and horses and fence lines running to the horizon, but everything else was different. He'd spent 12 years building walls, took a 9-year-old girl hiding in trash to show him doors, still open from the inside. Or maybe simpler, home ain't a place, it's who shows up and stays. He went inside. Through the window, the lamp glowed steady. 3 people at the table. Voices. Laughter. The sound of forks on plates. Not perfect. Not healed completely. But healing. Spring coming, light lasting longer, something green growing where there'd been only snow. Clayton sat down. Joe pushed pie toward him. Hector poured coffee. Outside, the stars came out one by one. And in the kitchen window, Sarah's lamp kept burning. Not for the dead anymore, but for the living. Light passing forward.